Hello there, guys, and welcome to our first class for the first unit. This is a class that is part of Big High School, and our subject is science. Our grade is 8th high school, and we're working on week number 1 today. So we welcome everyone, and let's start. So here you have the topic that you need to study today. It's going to be topic 1.01, Welcome to Earth and Space Science. And here you have the end in mind as well. Applies the scientific method to a variety of scenarios by identifying which questions can be answered by science to be able to design an experiment based on scientific questions. So this is something very important to take into consideration. So you can take a screenshot, take a picture of this part because you are going to use this information later on. Let's continue. Here you have a summary of the activities that you need to complete. First, it's important that you access the online platform. There you have the link. I'm going to leave it in the description as well of this video so you can, follow the link and access the platform. Then you need to read topic 1.01 and complete the assessment from this same topic. You also need to watch the YouTube video about how to guide yourself with the stars and start a project. There you have the link. So it's very important that you take into consideration all of these activities. And if you have any questions, any problems entering the platforms, you can always let me know during the live session, okay? So the YouTube video is extremely important because you need to deliver a project based on that video later on, which I'm going to tell you in a while. And of course, you can ask me any questions that you might have about the project, but I will explain that later on. So since today you are required to make a summary in your notebook as well, or just to keep track of the most important things, it is necessary that you include this format in your notebook. Please make sure to include the date, the end in mind, the title, and then the rest of the content. The colors are very important as well. Remember that for titles and subtitles, you need to write them down with blue and in red. Capitalized letters are always written down with red, and the rest of the text is going to be written down with black. Take that into consideration for your summary and just to keep track of the most important things right there. The summary that you have to make is basically about the YouTube video that you need to watch, about guiding yourself with the stars. So it might be a little bit long, and it might be a little bit hard to understand at first. So that's why I would like you to actually get to see the video actually a couple of times if necessary and make a summary in your notebook. It's not a project that you have to deliver next week, let's say. You have to deliver it in a couple of weeks, but we're going to start working on that today so you have enough time because it actually is going to require some time to, get it done appropriately. Now let's continue. And let's jump with our topic. And we're going to start by talking about Earth's spheres. And let's say that in general terms, they are subsystems of our planet Earth. Because here you have our planet, but inside our planet, there are several systems that we can talk about. The first subsystems that we're going to talk about is the cryosphere. And basically, the cryosphere is going to be a group that is going to surround everything that is related to a frozen water or ice. Mainly the cryosphere is going to be found in the north and south pole of our planets because those regions are the ones that have the lowest temperatures in all of our planet. And the cryosphere is very important for several species. I can tell you about penguins, I can tell you about seals, polar bears, etc. But unfortunately, due to the global warming effects that we are actually getting to see at the moment, all of the cryosphere or all of the glaciers are starting to disappear, which at the end causes species in animals to disappear as well. I can tell you about polar bears again, because their main habitat is found in the cryosphere or sections with a lot of ice. But what happens if the glaciers and basically their habitat disappears? Then the polar bears are not going to have anywhere to live at, and they are going to die, which is a reality that's happening right now. So we're going to expand a little bit more about this discussion during our live session. And of course, we're going to understand why this is happening. Let's continue with the hydrosphere. So the hydrosphere is basically all of the liquid water that you can find around Earth. It includes many bodies of water, such as rivers, lakes. We can also include clouds, rain, etc., etc. And the hydrosphere is very diverse, but mostly in our planet, you are going to find salty water, or just like the one that you can find in the ocean. And fresh water, which is the one that we humans usually use for human consumption, is going to be very limited. As long as I remember, it's between 3% and 4%, the amount of fresh water that we can find around our planet. Okay, now let's continue. We're going to continue with the biosphere. So when we talk about the biosphere, we're going to talk about all the living things in our planet and the environment where we can find them. So talking about living things, mainly are going to group up animals and plants, those two. Those two are part of the biosphere. And talking about the environment, we can consider rocks, we can consider water, sunlight, etc., etc. It can be part of the same biosphere that you can find around. Continuing with the atmosphere. The atmosphere is extremely important in our planet. And it's basically a layer of gases that is going to surround our planet. And it has many functionalities, but in general, I can tell you that it protects us from several things that come from outer space. Mainly from the ultraviolet rays that come from our sun, which if it wasn't because of the atmosphere that surrounds our planet, then it will cause a very huge harmful impact in our skins, and probably life couldn't take place in our planet either. And there will be one of the main uses of our atmosphere. I can tell you that our atmosphere is mainly composed of nitrogen and oxygen, and more nitrogen than oxygen in reality. And there is 1% of other gases that are going to compose our atmosphere. So now this is where we start relating some of the human activities and their impact in our ecosystems and systems in general. So what happens if we start adding gases that are not naturally part of our atmosphere, such as carbon dioxide? Carbon dioxide is the main gas that is produced by humans' activities. For example, when you use a car and you use gasoline or fossil fuels in general, what's going to happen is that the smoke that is produced by the cars are going to actually go up and stay in the atmosphere. Then the natural composition of our atmosphere is going to be changed, which causes the atmosphere to get thicker at some point. And besides that, it is going to capture more solar energy. All of that solar energy is going to be transferred into heat energy, which is going to cause the whole planet to warm up even more. So that's related to what we were talking about before with climate change, with the changes in the weather and the melting in several glaciers and the disappearance of the cryosphere in general. All right, let's continue. Now we're going to talk about the geosphere. So the geosphere is basically solid materials or solid rocks that are going to compose several layers of our planet. But let's say they're going to be inner layers in our planet. So just like the picture that you can see right here, inside our planet, we're going to have several layers. So right in the middle, we're going to find the inner core and the outer core. And in general terms, we can say that they both are part of the same section, like the core of our planet. Later on, we're going to have our mantle. And lastly, we're going to have crust. Crust is a very thin layer that we can find right at the top. And interestingly, the ocean crust is way thinner than the crust from our continents. Our mantle is going to include harder materials than the ones that we can find in the crust. And in the core, we're going to find a liquid and a solid part as well. Okay. And we're going to include one additional sphere. This one is not part of the Earth systems. It's something that we need to take into consideration because of the subject that we are studying, which is Earth and space science. which is the exosphere. So basically, the exosphere is everything that is outside of our planet. So if it's right outside of the atmosphere, it is already part of the exosphere. And trust me that right here we can find incredible things that we're going to study later on. And one of the things that we're going to start studying right now is going to be the motion of stars. And it is related to the video that I was telling you about before, the one that we are going to use in order to guide ourselves with the stars. So that'll be basically about it for the lesson. Remember to go back to the section of activities so you are pretty clear about everything you have to do. And later on, we're going to discuss a little bit more about it during the live session. So it's been great having you all around here, guys. And goodbye. See you.